Well, judge of my terrorist threat charge case against Town of Hancock, New York supervisor and highway control technician. To start with, again, that's the read. Trump's, I'm assuming, I thought he fired his own lawyer for not having this case go down, but, here we are in the mall. Here in the mall. I don't mind playing 001 on both sides. Anyways, it's a Dutton farm, Yellowstone, the river, of course. As soon as you can actually have access to bore model and said models of how to fit in this elk in my freezer. The bunny farm, rabbit shoe shop, blind guys, whatever it may be. When you denial of entry, when you retaliate, you got to have that in the case. It's usually always a bad idea to represent yourself. Now, for me, my lawyer, here in another 10 days, I got to go back to court to actually do the trial that I wanted to have because I asked for one many, many months ago, 4 months ago, when they asked me about what it was. Then they told me that it was going to be dismissed. Then they lost my dismissal. Then they tried to do some razzle dazzle where I get a year of a restraining order, but I get to get back my guns when it's a class C or D felony. I forget which one it is offhand, but in that, it's been, what is it, November, into the start of November, so December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, at least 6.5, 7 months, or, well, excuse me, 7.5, 8 months, on the system where they've taken my property. They did arrest me. I never really told anybody my testimony. I've gone through two lawyers. The first one took a sabbatical, didn't show up to court one day, didn't tell me that my first court trial had a conflict of interest and therefore was changed to another court. I had to actually go to the place where I had the restraining order because it's the court system of what it is, while going to the town, while asking for a highway control technician job, while seeing it in the minutes of an increase from a FEMA position and being the only candidate, not just this time, but if potentially and within the scope I can bring it up that the other times that this has been a problem. Well, then Kennedy saying something about getting fanatical about it may not be exactly the way, but you got to be understanding about the cattiness of that First Amendment pitch, especially when you do have at least a little bit of experience handling this type of data review. A lot of cases, Leto's Law, lone wolf lawyer, a lone wolf judge. You're seeing a lot of divorce cases. You're seeing a lot of restraining orders and orders of protection. You're making sure that you know what's going on inside of there. And also being a person within some things, if I do smoke a blunt in a police station, I'm part and parcel to it. So when I hear a judge that does taxes and some other things about having immunity, about backdoor immigration stuff, but also having the same turn on ICE accidentally killing an immigrant, about how to handle the 10th Amendment or the first, second, third, which I just looked up the other day, has to do with like them soliciting you at the house or some kind of system like that. Whether it be take your tea or actually get you to join the military without reasonable articulation, because otherwise you just join up on the military. They're coming through, make sure that the SWAT guy doesn't scratch your car and get through with it, and that's the fourth. That's your ID, that was that natural identity, there was no scratch, there is a scratch. Into the fifth, I shouldn't need to say shit about that or make a big fucking stick about it, especially when the Supreme Court is doing click and cancel issues, because when you get into the 6th, 7th, or why is 6 afraid of 7, because 7, 8, 9, into what the 10th Amendment would be with state and church, state and nation. It's a local thing about our town driver numbers, has oil and other things. Is it useful to put into the collection plate as a group in that form, or some other things goes back to the first, or how you argue with $720 grievances, or where that specifically is a 6th Amendment. Oh, I forget the 8th right off. I got a handy right here. In book 3. Slide to it real quick here. I want the 8th. And 11th. 5, 6, 7. Executive or excessive bail shall not be, which I haven't really caught the excessive bail issue on what this is in my court system. I actually was within the bail reform when they released me from county that night, after the issue, and again, I never even talked to my lawyer until I was standing in front of the judge. So again, when we get to some of the different forms of the 25th and how to handle that administrative immunity while dealing, yeah, it's not exactly a shooting at the Circle K, but it is an illegal action. And overall, the fine-tuned balance between whether you're extorting some kid to go to a juvenile hall facility because it keeps some mathematical grievance out as far as the bookkeeping standards arbors every, whatever NASA NSA level of actually doing it before they give me some bullshit of a 5-year fucking arbor about what it'll cost for tax maximum minimum increases while dealing with a highway control technician or a water technician on the highway crew that was supposed to be trained to do the Excel and CAD models taken on Smith chart over there as far as what it does. Well, you can see how being denied entry or being able to say that this system abused its power to make sure that I couldn't go to village meetings, at least offer, we'll find out their timelines about when to do that or how to do that, while actually having video of their responses, at least some of their responses, not to say that there isn't POVs or actual exculpatory information, which now becomes, from the court standards, if I represent myself, because the lawyer excused herself from my case when I asked for a trial for the third or fourth time here to make sure that we had one inside of it, because it is my right to have a trial if I believe that this. To go along with those concepts, you got to play gate guardian. My job isn't to necessarily undermine the system and say go back, but there was a time when marijuana was hard illegal, and then there's not. You don't get to just go back and undo all those cases. You got to make some compromises inside the system. So while I'm playing that, and they don't have actual exculpatory information like that as far as the tort habeas corpus, well,